Well, hello. I'm having a little trouble playing my tuba today. I've got this little cut on my finger, but it makes playing the tuba difficult. Oh, and I have to play with the Big Harbor Band, too. Maybe I should call them and tell them I'm not feeling well. No, then I'd miss the concert. Oh, I'd hate to miss it. Maybe no one will notice. Maybe everyone would notice. You know, Theodore had this kind of problem one time. What did he do? Oh, yes. Oh, let me tell you all about it.
Theodore, Hank, and George were helping the last ship of the day into its dock. "One big last push," called George. "This is a heavy one," said Hank, as he strained against the ship. "No ship's too big for us, Hank," said Theodore. And he put a little extra power into his push. "Good work," boomed George. "We're finished. I need a rest." "Sounds good to me," said Hank. "Tomorrow will be even busier." "I wouldn't miss it for anything," said Theodore. Theodore started to follow the others, but then he felt a quiet clunk deep inside his engine. He stopped. "I can't move," thought Theodore. He tried moving backwards. It worked. Theodore found he could move backwards just like normal. But he could not go forward. Something is wrong, he thought. Theodore did not sleep well that night. The next morning he kept hoping and hoping the problem with his engine had gone away by itself. But it hadn't. He wasn't feeling any better. Still, he was determined not to miss anything that day. "I better get to my place for the morning work meeting now," he said to himself, "before anyone sees me going backwards." Theodore quietly pulled out, backwards. Then he circled around toward his place at the dock, being very careful not to wake any of the sleeping tugs. He had almost made it to his place when he gently bumped into Emily. "Oops," he said out loud. He hoped he didn't wake Emily. Well, Emily rocked a little back and forth, but she kept on sleeping. "Whew, that was close," thought Theodore as he moved to his place. He turned off his engine and waited for the work meeting to begin. When all the tugs were awake, the dispatcher began getting out the jobs for the day. "Theodore," he said, "today you will help Barrington Barge." Theodore's toot toots said, "Yes, okay," and inside he was especially happy. "I can do that backwards easily," he thought to himself. Theodore waited until everyone was gone, and the dispatcher turned away, and then he sailed off, backwards. Now, Theodore and Barrington are special friends and always enjoy working together. "Let's go," said Theodore, and he began pulling backwards. Well, Barrington felt confused. "Why are you moving backwards, Theodore?" he asked. "Oh, I thought I'd try a new way of pulling," answered Theodore. But actually, he was finding it hard to see where he was going. "Will we have a story today, Theodore?" asked Barrington. You see, Theodore always told Barrington stories when he moved him. It made the work seem like fun. "Sorry," said Theodore, "but I can't pull backwards and tell a story at the same time." "No story?" said Barrington. "Oh, that's too bad." Theodore felt bad, too. He loved telling stories to Barrington, but it was all he could do just to keep pulling in a straight line. When Theodore was finished, he saw Foduck waiting for him all the way across the harbor. Foduck would be sure to see him going backwards. What should I do, he wondered. Just then, he spotted Emily coming towards him. "Oh, no," he said out loud. he certainly didn't want Emily to see him going backwards either. He quickly backed up behind Willie's Island. As soon as Theodore was safely behind Willie's Island, a small smile crept across his face. I'm probably the smartest backwards-only tugboat in the whole harbor, he thought. Ding, 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 ding. It was Bedford Buoy, way off in the distance, and he was dinging his bell at Theodore. Hello, hello, called Bedford. He was always very excited to see his good friend Theodore. Shh, called Theodore. I'm hiding. Oh, that sounds like fun. I'll hide too. But then Bedford realized that bellboys couldn't really hide, so he tried spinning instead. Whee! Oh, this is fun, Theodore, he shouted. All of Bedford's shouts and dings caught Emily's attention. Are you calling me, Bedford? She said. No, replied Bedford dizzily, still spinning. I was talking to Theodore. He's right over there. But when Emily looked, Theodore was nowhere to be seen. Bell buoys are strange sometimes, she said to herself, and set off again. Theodore had snuck around the other side of Willie's Island. How will I ever get across the whole harbor without Phoduck seeing me going backwards? He sighed to himself. And then he saw Philip and Fillmore, the ferry twins, crossing the harbor. That gave him a great idea. Theodore waited for just the right moment. Then he snuck up behind Fillmore so no one could see him. Then he went all the way across the harbor behind him, backwards. There, he made it all the way without being seen by Phoduck. Theodore took his place at the back of the ship and started to push. Now Theodore was actually beginning to enjoy his backwards view of the harbor. He liked the way the world seemed to move in a whole new way. It was kind of fun. Theodore, said Phoduck, you're backwards. I know, Phoduck, laughed Theodore. It's fun. The harbor looks different. Is everything going okay back here? Asked Phoduck. Theodore didn't know quite what to say. You see, everything wasn't okay. He still couldn't move forward. But he didn't want to tell Phoduck because he didn't want to miss anything going on in the harbor that day. I hope I don't have to go backwards forever, Theodore said to himself. Then came the last job of the day. Emily and George needed help moving a large container ship. By this time, Theodore's engine was becoming very tired, and he wasn't sure if he could do much more work forward or backward. Where's Theodore? Said George. He knows we need him, said Emily. Theodore managed to sneak by both tugs and get right next to the big ship without anyone seeing him. Hi, he said. Theodore, said George. Where did you come from? Oh, I just got back. I just got back from my other job, said Theodore. Okay, said Emily. Let's move this ship. Theodore, said George. I need you to be at the front so Emily and I can use our bigger engines to push from the back. Me in front? Asked Theodore. Right, said George. Theodore slowly took his position. Maybe they won't notice that I can't pull this way, he thought. Ready, called Emily as she and George strained to move the giant ship. Pull, Theodore, called George. Now, Theodore really wanted to help, but he couldn't. He even tried to make his engine go forward again. But that only made it feel worse. thing he could do was to pull backwards.
Stop!
He shouted. "What is it, Theodore?" asked George. "Are we going to hit something?" called Emily.
No.
Answered Theodore quietly.
It's me.
"Are you all right?" asked George and Emily together. Theodore took a deep breath before he spoke.
No, I'm not all right. I can't move forward.
Well, both Emily and George looked concerned.
It happened yesterday, and I spent the whole day moving backwards and not telling anyone.
"Well, that must have been hard," said Emily.
It was,
said Theodore.
but I didn't know what to do.
"I had that happen to me once," said George. "You did?" asked Theodore. "What did you do?" "Oh, I went to the repair dock," said George. "Oh, they fixed me right away." Theodore was surprised.
Do you think the repair dock could help me? He asked.
"Oh, sure. You go there now," said George. "You'll be back in no time. You'll be forward in no time."
I will, said Theodore.
"Sure you will. You won't miss a thing," said George.
Great, said Theodore.
Now that he had told Emily and George about the problem with his engine, he was beginning to feel better already. Sure enough, in no time, Theodore was moving forward again and ready to be back with his friends in the big harbor. Barrington was very happy Theodore was frontwards again.
This feels so much better, said Theodore. But I do feel pretty silly about hiding my sore engine.
Barrington thought it was silly too, but he didn't say so. "Are you all better now, Theodore?" he asked.
All better,
said Theodore. "Are you well enough to... But Barrington felt too shy to ask.
To what, Barrington?
Asked Theodore. To tell me a story? Asked Barrington finally.
Sure,
laughed Theodore.
I'll tell you one about the mixed-up tugboat who got everything backwards.
No, it wasn't hard to fix Theodore's backwards problem after all. And you know, that story reminded me of a very easy way to fix this problem with my finger here. A bandage. I'll just put it on, like this. There. Now, let's try it again. Oh, that's much better. Yeah. Now I won't have to miss playing with the Big Harbor Band after all. Thanks for visiting us here in the Big Harbor. We'll see you all again next time. This is going to work out just fine.
Theodore, he's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, oh, to Hank and George and the harbor master too.